Live from the 607, it's the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking everything going on in the world of sports. Join in the conversation on social media with the hashtag ODPH, because here we go.
Instead of looking deep inside, every word I have to say, keep it simple.
Welcome to an all-new edition of the ODPH podcast. What is happening, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us this week. My name is Ken M. Joining me in studio, as always, you know him. He's the co-host. He's a statistician to the stars. His name is Padawan J.
You can't see it. We don't have a camera live, but I'm wearing my finest Canadian tuxedo.
This is very true. Very true. Congratulations out to Kendrick Lamar for sweeping at the Grammys.
Yeah, he did.
Amazing night for him. And
like Booker T would say, five time.
Yeah, I was going to say some of the other artists had big nights too.
Yeah.
But that's for another show because you came in to hear sports, and that is the edition we're giving you today. And we want to keep those sports stories going after the show. So, Pat, where does everybody go?
ODPHpodcast.com.
Reviews, T-Public Store, social media links, the classified section, which has friends of the show, such as 3FN Podcast, Dragon Master Games, Nerd Initiative, and many more. Also, the directory. Pat, how many providers are we on?
We are on 45,326.
So wherever you listen to the ODPH on, first and foremost, thank you for giving us a shot. Leave us a review on your favorite podcatcher. And we also have you covered on where you can find us. So if you don't like where you listen to us right now, trust us, we have plenty of other places to go find the parlay of topics each and every week. Last but certainly not least, we have a fantastic music section with such groups as Brian Wolf and the Howlers, Second Suitor, Tom Jolu, Floodlands, Shout of the Robots, and many more. So if you need something that is here at the ODPH, look no further than odphpodcast.com. And if you're still using hashtags on social media, why not use the hashtag ODPHpod? Kicking off the sports edition, and this is kind of a wild one for me because usually this time of year, one game is dominating everything.
Mm-hmm.
But it was upstaged this week.
Yeah.
In a monster way that we have to break down and decipher because I don't think any video game cheat code could make this happen. Yet this is real life.
This is the kind of thing that you would see if you're playing Madden, maybe, or even NBA 2K, which, funnily enough, and you're doing like a franchise mode.
Yeah.
And you know how inevitable you get to the end of the season, you've won the championship or whatever, and then you're just progressing through the off season. You might be doing some, small, front office stuff or whatever. And then you just go and you look at the transaction tab and you look at it like, let's just use, the mid 2000s or late 2000s for as an example. And you go, wait a minute, the Indianapolis Colts traded Peyton Manning to the Chargers? Like, what? Like, it's that type of thing that we went, what the hell are we looking at?
Yeah, there was a blockbuster trade in the NBA that I don't think anybody saw coming.
I'll say it's the biggest one in NBA history thus far.
It's arguably. And that is saying a lot. But it is two franchise-defining moments here.
Yeah.
One continuing a legacy of greatness, the other one perplexing.
To say the least.
Yeah, so let's break it down, Pat.
So this went down, and this got posted by Shams Charania from ESPN on his Twitter account at 12:12 in the morning on February 2nd, 2025. No, at this present time, this damn tweet has 94.4 million views.
I believe it.
Good Lord. But he said, and I quote, breaking, the Dallas Mavericks are trading Luka Dončić, Max Kleber, and Markieff Morris to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a 2029 first-round pick, sources tell ESPN, 3-team deal that includes Utah, close quote. Now, at this point, you and I had gone home and we're getting ready and laying down into bed. I was laying in bed. This is the last thing I saw before I shut the light out. And I said with my wife in the room, what the fuck? And she goes, what? I'm like, they just had a massive trade in the NBA that to that point, well, the NBA wasn't even going to be the biggest story in sports, at least for us in those 24 hours. It was WWE. But then you get this bomb dropped. Everyone, including Patrick Mahomes, who I guess is a Dallas Mavericks fan.
Yes, long time.
Didn't know that. Everybody, including Patrick Mahomes, thought this was Shams got hacked because it's the middle of the night. It's a trade. You could try, a number of people tried on NBA 2K, and NBA 2K wouldn't let you do it. That everyone's like, wait, is this legit? Is this for real? So Shams followed it up a little bit later. Let me see, exactly 4 minutes later, saying, quote, "Yes, this is real. Sources tell ESPN. Full trade. Lakers get Luka Dončić, Maxi Kleber, Markieff Morris. Mavericks get Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and the Lakers' 2029 first-round pick. And the Jazz get Jalen Hood-Schifino, the Clippers' 2025 second-round pick, and the Mavericks' 2025 second-round pick." He went on to say a little bit later, the Mavericks approached the Lakers recently and offered Luka Dončić, sources tell ESPN. Lakers brass met and believed the 25-year-old Dončić has the ability to be the face of their franchise for the next decade while giving Anthony Davis a win-now move in Dallas. People still didn't believe this damn thing, and you had Bobby Marks, who also is an NBA guy for ESPN, quote, "Shams has not been hacked. This is real."
Yeah, I was in the midst of doing reviews. My girlfriend messaged me about this, and she was
Yeah.
like, I don't know if this is real or not, but
I messaged you.
yeah, you immediately hit me after, too.
I'm like, what the hell? And like, I sat laying in bed because it's after midnight. I just gotten done watching, I think at that point, 5 hours of Royal Rumble stuff, and my mind was racing a little bit. And I saw this, and I'm like, what? I'm like, there's no way this is real. Like I physically was looking at the tweet. I saw the check mark next to Shams' name, which is the universal indicator, at least used to be, that, yeah, this is the legit person who said it is, of course, before you could buy the blue check mark. I went, and I'm following Shams, and I went to the account, and it's the account I'm following, so I'm like, all right, this is supposed to be him, but how the hell do we know this is legit? And then I saw the ESPN graphic from the SportsCenter account with the full, treatment of like traded and all the other stuff. I'm like, wow, this is legit.
Yeah, this is mind-blowing on many levels.
And it doesn't make sense.
Well, that's probably the biggest point right now is Luka has been the franchise player for the Mavericks since he came in the league.
At one point in the last couple of years, before Mark Cuban sold his majority share in the Mavericks, said, and you can go find this quote online, that he would, if it came down to a choice of divorcing his wife or trading Luka Dončić, he would divorce his wife.
Mm-hmm. Luka had won this team over. He won the city over. He took this team to the NBA Finals last year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is why it's so shocking. So to get rid of a player of his caliber,
at 25 years old, mind you,
exactly, is just unfathomable.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to put some idea behind this, it's not really adding up. And that's why you're seeing a lot of the outrage and shock from a lot of fans and players around the league, because it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not in rebuild mode.
Mm-hmm.
So why would you move your franchise guy? And then let alone pick up Anthony Davis, who is in that twilight of his career, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe closer towards the back end, but has issues staying healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So you're now picking up his salary and shifting direction with your team.
Yeah.
Even though you still have a solid three core with Kyrie, Klay Thompson, and Anthony.
I mean, it's solid. Is it NBA champion caliber? With as few games as there are, because there's 30 games left in the regular season. If this were a full season and we're going into like October, I'm like, yeah, there's a real good shot they could pull this off. This short a time frame, I don't know.
I don't think they can. I think at this stage, it's too much of a shock to the team.
Oh, yeah.
I know the night after the trade was completed, they got blown out by 40
because they sat everybody.
Yeah, or at least it was around 40. I don't think I remember the final score.
I'll pull up the score.
It was that bad.
Everyone's like, wow, the players are protesting.
Yeah, which, I mean, it makes sense. But at the same point, I don't see this being of equal value.
It was just over 40 points. It was a 144-101 loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers in Cleveland. Here's your starting five for the Dallas Mavericks that night. Olivier Maxence Prosper was played. Kyler Kelly, Spencer Dinwiddie, Klay Thompson, and Dante Exum. Those were your starters, also getting some play time. Najee Marshall, Kessler Edwards, Quentin Grimes, who's also side story that we don't have to devote a whole thing to. I'm pretty sure Quentin Grimes has now been traded. Brandon Williams and Jaden Hardy.
Yeah.
Those were your starting players for the Dallas Mavericks. P.J. Washington did not play, listed as a did not play, sore right knee, and Daniel Gafford was listed as a did not play, sore left ankle. You noticed anybody on that list I didn't mention?
Mm-hmm.
Certain former Cleveland Cavaliers, certain former Brooklyn Nets, certain former Boston Celtics, certain former, don't hate me for this, Duke Blue Devil by the name of Kyrie Irving.
No, and that's the whole point. If he's not in that lineup, that's a completely different ball game you're doing. And I think for what Dallas got, I mean, they did get adequate players, but to give up a future MVP of the league, one that's now just entering the start of his prime.
Well, and especially, too, a player that was getting ready, according to Bobby Marks, he was in line to get a Supermax.
Yeah.
He had met all the requirements for a Supermax. This is according to Bobby Marks. Quote, there are major financial implications for Luka Dončić with this trade. He was in line to receive a 5-year, $345 million contract this summer. Dončić is no longer Supermax eligible.
Yeah, which is disappointing.
Yeah.
Because what did he do to deserve this? Because that's where the next point goes to.
Yeah.
For him to have this messy of a divorce with the Mavericks organization.
There's something going on here, and I think it's more than just what we've been hearing in the last couple of days. Because the more you look into this, the more it doesn't make sense. Because I'm looking on basketballreference.com, and they mentioned this on ESPN First Take on Monday, and I had to look this up because I'm like, there's no way that's legit. And it's legit. When you look at the all-time, and this is NBA and ABA, take out the ABA, and this is still the case. But all-time NBA and ABA leaders for points per game. Number 1, Michael Jordan with 30.1. Number 2, Wilt Chamberlain with 30.7. Number 3 with 28.65, Luka Dončić.
Yeah.
And then you go to, and that's his whole career. Now you go for playoff, and again, this is every playoff game they ever play.
Yep.
Again, ABA, NBA, take out the ABA, this is still the case. Number 1, Michael Jordan with 33.45. Number 2, with 30.92, Luka Dončić. So you traded, the number 3 all-time points per game leader and the guy who's number 2 in postseason for a guy who's 6 years older, 7 years older than what he is right now. That he's a good player, but he's not on the same level.
Right. It's just he's has a lot of tread on the tires.
Oh, yeah.
Say.
Oh, I'd agree with that.
So what's the benefit here? Well, moving him to LA doesn't really help the Lakers out too much. It does if they make one key move, which I think now
they need a big man.
Well, they need a big man, but they also need to move LeBron.
LeBron has been quoted and has said he is staying with the Lakers through the through the end of the trade deadline, which I believe is on Wednesday or Thursday.
Right, which it depends on if they can make a deal happen by then. Because the argument is going to be LeBron needs the ball a lot, even at his age. Luka needs the ball a lot. Are they willing to sacrifice points and minutes? That is a question that honestly, you take a look at the rest of this team right now, I don't think they can afford to.
LeBron's only, according to the regular season averages, for this season has been averaging 34.7 minutes per game.
Right.
So it's down a little bit.
But he's down a little bit, but when he's on the court, he's going to want the ball. He's going to want to take the shot.
Thing is, though, I think this will work, at least in theory, on paper, work for them because you know how picky he can be and how he likes to, choose his spots and choose where he wants to do things. With Luka there, who's arguably as high on IQ as he is, I don't want to go so far as to say he's got a higher IQ than LeBron, but it's up there. That he can be even more picky and choosy with his spots with Luka on the floor, which, let's face it, he played with prime Dwayne Wade in his career and made it work.
Right, but there's a little bit of difference. See, he was involved in the move for Miami.
True.
And putting together the super team down there.
True.
We know there's confirmed reports.
Yeah.
He was not involved in this move.
No. It sounds like the only people that were involved in this move were the owners and the general managers, because Anthony Davis is a member of Clutch Sports, which is Rich Paul's organization, which is also LeBron James, the organization, agency group LeBron James is a part of. They're all buddies. They're all friends. LeBron didn't know about this. That got confirmed or reported pretty soon after the news found out that And the Lakers actually had a decent game against the Knicks that same night, and LeBron was out to dinner with his family and found out from someone while he was having dinner with his family that
Right.
LeBron wasn't told, Luka wasn't told, Anthony Davis wasn't told. Anthony Davis, according to reports, just closed on a $31 or $32 million home in Los Angeles.
Both him and Luka did.
And Luka closed on a $12 million home in Dallas. So you're closing on, I don't care what the difference is in dollar amounts. You're closing on a house of that magnitude and that amount of money. You're planting your roots. You don't think you're going anywhere.
Right.
And all of a sudden, hey, by the way, you've been traded.
And especially of how LeBron has dictated players on that team.
Right, and that's something that I know Brian Windhorst said on First Take, where it was like, I forget which year it was early. It was like the third or fourth year. He was told, by the Cavaliers front office that, like, hey, going forward, we're going to loop you in and include you on all future decisions that are made in regards to the roster.
Right.
And that hit, and according to Windhorst, which, listen, Windhorst has followed LeBron since his high school days.
Yeah.
When it comes to things about LeBron, I tend to lean towards what
Windhorst knows his stuff.
Windhorst knows his stuff with LeBron.
Yeah.
From that point on, up until this moment, LeBron was kept in the loop, and now he's not, which I think says a lot.
Oh, it completely does. I mean, this is a different direction the Lakers are going to go to. And for LeBron not to be in the mix about this, not to give this move his blessing, I think is going to cause problems.
Yeah, it could be.
In my opinion.
Could
because
be.
of how much he likes to dictate and control, which, like, he's earned that right to a degree.
Sure.
Because every team that he has gone to,
You win the accolades he has.
right, you have a little say about who you're playing with. I mean, you saw in Cleveland, he did all he could the first run, formed his team in Miami.
The lead GM thing is more than just a meme.
Right. And then came back to Cleveland,
Yep.
made that team happen there.
Found out what worked and then did it in Miami.
Yep.
Or Cleveland, excuse me.
Yep. Then moved out to L.A.,
Yep.
which, hey, he won the ring in Cleveland. There's no bad blood
Yeah.
now.
They love him no matter what.
Exactly. So he's allowed, like I say, it's more of an easy pass there. But when he was there, he got Anthony Davis.
Mm-hmm.
He got players he wanted.
Yeah.
Even to the degree of this year's past draft,
Yeah.
who did they take?
His kid.
Yeah. And unfortunately,
When most experts, quote unquote, were saying, he's going to be I forget what the word is, but he's going to be like somebody you sign without having been drafted.
yeah, he's going to be a project because he's not NBA ready.
Yeah, and we saw that when he got sent down to the G League for a couple of weeks.
Exactly. So I think the Lakers have gotten kind of fed up about, that idea that he's running the team. And the Lakers are an old school organization.
Oh, they are.
We have to remember
Oh, they
this.
are. I mean, the ownership there, this isn't a side hustle they have. We're like, oh, this is just my pet project for the weekend. No, this is their number one focus. And I don't necessarily think the LeBron side of like, oh, we're trying to take the team back from LeBron is the primary cause or the primary
It's
focus.
not the primary.
It's definitely a side effect.
It is effect.
It's definitely, something that branches off from this. But I think this is the Lakers looking at the situation rationally and realizing LeBron is 40 years old, going on 41. Mm-hmm. He's in his 22nd year? I'll look it up here in a minute. He's been in the league for 20 plus years. He doesn't have that much longer ahead of him. And I know a lot of people were saying, oh, well, Anthony Davis is going to be the guy that takes over the team. Yeah, listen, Anthony Davis right now is 31 and 330 days as we record. So before the end of the season here, he'll be 32. Mm-hmm. Let's just say, because I think LeBron, I'll pull it up here, he's got at least another year, if not two, left on his contract. So, okay, we'll just say it's 2 years. So at that point, Anthony Davis will be, let's see, LeBron has 2-year deal. He's got a player option for next year, and then he's unrestricted free agent. Okay. So at the very minimum, in 2 years, this would have been quote unquote Anthony Davis's team.
Yeah.
He'll be 32 before the end of the season. And by the time it's quote unquote Anthony Davis's team, he'll be 34 pushing going on 35. You really want to build the future of your organization around a guy who good player, but he's 30 going on 35?
And he has injuries.
And he's injury prone. And let's face it, he was good in New Orleans. Mm-hmm. Not great, good. He went to the Lakers, which he was paired up with one of the best players in NBA history, if not the best, depending on how you rank him. And he was very good. Now, with him, and you can look at it either way, whether it's he was still with the Lakers or him now with Dallas, Is he going to be as good as he was? I don't know. But and I think the Lakers were looking at this going, I don't think they were thinking with Luka in mind, but they were thinking we need to start future plan. It's the Tom Brady effect when he was with the Patriots, that they needed to find somebody to replace him. They never did, and well, look where they are. I think they were looking at this going, hey, we need to find somebody in the next couple of years and start getting them ready and getting them prepared so that, we can continue to be the Lakers and we can contend for championships, and Luka fell into their lap. Because I don't think it was the Lakers looking for Luka. I think it was something going on between Luka and the front office, specifically the owner, that facilitated this. Because this isn't one that I think the GM did on his own. You don't trade the star player, the franchise, the guy who's number one in your jersey sales, that everyone's talking like, oh, he's going to get a statue outside the arena when he eventually retires with the team. This isn't one that like the GM on his own went, And I realized that the GM, Nico Collins and Rob Pelinka have a history together, because Nico Collins,
Collinson?
Harrison.
Or Harrison, okay.
Yeah, Nico Harrison, was the Nike rep with, and he worked with Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, and whatever else. And because he worked with Kobe, he also knew Rob Pelinka, who was the sports agent for who? Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
So I don't think this was just like, oh, I know him. I think I can get Luka away from him. Twirl the mustache. I think it was something the owner told the GM, get rid of him. Because think back to, I forget, it was Anthony Edwards, whoever that like got traded to Minnesota, and the other team got like 4 first-round picks or whatever asinine trade that was.
You mean Rudy Gobert?
Thank you, Rudy Gobert. Remember when Rudy Gobert got traded and they got like an asinine amount of trades back for Rudy Gobert, and we're like, holy shit. You look at Luka Dončić, he should have gotten more than that in terms
completely.
of trade. So, and you look at the breakdown of what went down between the two teams, the Lakers got it for next to nothing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they fleeced him. Hands down.
100%.
There's no question about it. And it's just very puzzling that the Mavericks were going to be that quick to give up on him. Mm-hmm. But like you alluded to, there has to be, just our opinions, folks, but there has to be some kind of disconnect between Luka and the front office of the Mavericks to make this
There
move.
has to be.
And I know that there was that video going around with him and having a beer after
Oh, yeah.
the one finals, or getting to the finals, and it was taken out of his hand.
Yeah.
I don't buy that too much, but I think, though, if there were concerns about him being all in for whatever reason, I think Dallas felt they made the right move. But it's puzzling to see like what was the problem, because we have not heard of any problems.
There are rumors and there's innuendo going around.
Sure,
but we're not exactly embedded in the city of Dallas.
Right. I mean, there's nothing that has been leaked out to the majority of media saying Luka was a problem or there's kind of any issues like that. Because usually at this point we would hear rumblings.
I mean, the only rumblings that have been going around are the rumblings about conditioning and coming in listed as one way, and it was actually higher, and they tried to get him to work on it, and he allegedly wouldn't work on it, which, again, some of this could be true, some of this could be embellished a little bit. It might not have been as bad as it's being made out to be. Again, we don't know. We haven't been in the front office rooms where these decisions are being made.
Yeah. So I think that this is the problem that Dallas is going to have to really spin to make it something. And
you've alienated the fuck out of your entire fan base.
Well, yeah. When you have an MVP caliber player and you trade him for next to nothing.
And he's only 25.
Yeah. This is going to be a move that haunts the franchise. First and foremost, you trade him in conference. Mm-hmm. So he's still going to be in the West. If you moved him to the East for whatever reason, that would have been at least a softer blow.
Yeah.
But no, you move him to the Lakers, which you still have LeBron in if they can make it work. But like I say, I don't see it happening. Luka is now going to be the face of the franchise there. They're going to get him help.
Oh,
Trust me.
This is no longer LeBron's team.
No, LeBron
This is the Luka team, and that was made very clear and very evident when LeBron was not told.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. They're going to have to make some moves now. Mm-hmm. And I don't doubt that LeBron, he can say all he wants to stay, whatever, and take the good PR spin about this. Mm-hmm. I think he's plotting on getting out. I think that
maybe.
I think that his hope is to get to Golden State, where I know it's now been heavily rumored about him uniting with Kevin Durant
Yeah, I saw that.
and Steph Curry, like reuniting.
I don't know about that.
The heroes of yesteryear, so to speak. So if they can pull that off, that would be something too. But at the same point, I think it's wishful thinking on his notion. I know the Knicks were in the rumors for where he'd want to go. I can't see him going there.
He had his opportunity. He blew it off.
Right. I think at this stage in the game, I don't know if they want to disrupt that team because the team is doing very well and they're young.
No.
So that's another factor that's going to have to play in. But I think by the time it's all said and done, Luka will get help out west.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know who yet. I think the season is going to be a wash for whatever reason. I don't see this team getting to the finals with the roster they currently have.
Currently in the Western Conference, they are the number 5 seed. They have a record of 28-19. They're right behind the Denver Nuggets at 4, who are 31-19. The Houston Rockets are the 3 seed. Memphis Grizzlies are the 2 seed, and then the Oklahoma City are the 1 seed. Behind the Lakers, just behind the Lakers, are the LA Clippers, actually, 28-21. Then you've got the Minnesota Timberwolves at the 7, Dallas Mavericks at the 8, Sacramento Kings at the 9, and the Phoenix Suns at the 10. Mm-hmm. So I think they'll make the playoffs. Are they going to make a deep run? No.
Playoffs, yes, but
deep run.
But doesn't matter if for this team, LA needs to go to the finals. Like that's
not this year. I'd
right,
say,
but that's their mantra, though.
Well, yeah, that's their mantra. The team that needs to make the finals and win a championship more now is Dallas. And Dallas needs to do it in the next 3 or 4 years. And I'm not saying multiple. You just need to get at least one because that's been your whole thing. As the GM was saying, oh, we did this for a win. We're in a win now window. We're setting ourselves up for the next 3-4 years. Well, if you come up empty-handed for the next 3-4 years, this will be the most boneheaded trade of your career, and it might cost you your job.
Oh, completely. I think that's the problem they took. For whatever reason, they could not make it work on a business level.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if you're complaining about Luka's conditioning. It's not like we saw a decrease in points and output.
No.
So
he for a career he's 28.6 points per game. This season he's 28.1.
Yeah.
And now granted he's been hurt. He's only played 22 games this year, but still that's pretty much on pace.
Yeah. So if you're going to question that, it's a risky gamble. Mm-hmm. I think they made a very poor choice in this personally.
Oh, I do too. 100%.
And I think this will come back to haunt them. And for the Lakers, this puts them on a very good path.
Oh, this sets the Lakers up perfectly for post-LeBron.
Oh, yeah, completely. Because I think LeBron will be gone one way or another. I think this is his last season in L.A.
Could be. He, like I said, he's got the 1 year left on. He's got the player option for next year. So I could see next year being it.
Yeah, but I think though, he'll want to get to a contender. Or he'll want to get to someplace he wants to go.
Because I know he's got the other kid coming. I don't think he's in college yet. I think he might be close to college. Mm-hmm. But still, even to play with 2 of his kids in the NBA, he'd have to do another 3 years, and I just don't see that happening.
I don't see it happening, and plus, He'd
be like 44.
I don't think any GM wants to tolerate the Bronny experiment part 2.
Yeah, that's true.
If they don't feel he's ready, like I say, the LA was very gracious to him.
Oh, sure.
But look how it worked out. Granted,
it's low risk, high reward. It's low risk, and then it really doesn't cost you all that much because he was literally the last pick in the NBA draft. Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't work out, you can just let him go at the end of his contract.
Yeah.
Hey, we tried.
So
because by that point, LeBron will be gone.
Yeah. Well, like I say, at that situation, we'll have to wait and see how it plays out.
Yeah.
But I think overall, though, there are a lot of instances where this trade works in LA's favor. But I think the one key point that's going to hurt them long term is him and LeBron on the same team is going to be trouble. And I think for Luka, there's going to have to be a sacrifice of points made somewhere. That'll be the question, and I think once he fully asserts himself as the leader of that team, there's going to be a roster shakeup like you haven't seen. But they'll be contending. Don't worry about that. As for Dallas, there's more questions than answers. No matter how they want to spin it, it was just a conflicting, arrangement. But they'll have to figure out a way to get back to the finals because I just don't see how this move makes any sense.
I just can't believe how far and wide this went because the language learning app Duolingo posted a thing with the eyes looking sideways emoji and tagged the Dallas Mavericks and said, "Let's review your mistakes."
Yeah.
And they quote tweeted the Lakers thing about Luka. And then the other one was Crunchyroll today. Explain the Mavericks and Lakers trade in a way an anime fan would understand. Go. Like the far-reaching just reaction to this has been insane to look. In case you're curious, the next time that the Dallas Mavericks play the LA Lakers, and it's on primetime TV. Holy shit!
Oh, of course.
Well, it was before. It sure as shit is now. They might move the time up on this one. The next time the Dallas Mavericks play the LA Lakers is on Tuesday, February 25th. It's in LA, scheduled right now for 10 o'clock Eastern on TNT. But I wouldn't be surprised if the NBA moves that start time up.
Maybe a little bit, but not by much.
Oh yeah,
because it's LA time. You got to remember that.
Yeah, true.
But that being said, though, I know we didn't even mention anything about the Utah Jazz involved in this because really it doesn't matter.
Well, that's the other thing too. They were just the team to help facilitate the
Right.
deal. And what is it? Their GM out there used to be with the Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
I don't think he had any clue what he was getting in on.
I don't think there's a lot of people that had a lot of ideas going on except the Dallas front office and the Lakers front office. How this trickles down
Danny Ainge.
and how this trickles down is going to be anybody's guess.
Yeah.
But that being said, here's some of those hashtags. Hashtag ODPH pod. Give us your thoughts about Luka Dončić moving to LA. Anthony Davis coming to Dallas and the fallout this is going to impact the NBA with. We want to hear your thoughts about this. So hit us up. Let us know. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Do you like comic books?
What about movies and TV shows?
Well, we may be the show for you.
We're Hops Geek News, a weekly podcast that discusses comics, movies, and TV shows while featuring a beer of the week.
Every week we chat about what we messed up on the week before, and then we dive into what we're reading and watching, as well as some news.
We then wrap it up with a geek-themed topic of the week.
You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts by searching Hops Geek News.
Cheers.
Coming back for another segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast, and we have to recap a big weekend for World Wrestling Entertainment.
Yeah, we do.
The Royal Rumble came and went this past Saturday night in Indianapolis, Indiana, where two superstars punched their ticket to go to WrestleMania in main events on April 19th and 20th. A lot of action went down. A lot of storylines happened, so we are going to be recapping the weekend that was. So, Pat, kick us off.
Yeah, so this took place this past Saturday from Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana, with an announced attendance of 70,347 folks. Good Lord. Saw one clip because they showed a clip on Monday Night Raw with a bunch of stuff, including some local news footage. Sounded like they beat the attendance record that was there for the Taylor Swift concert, which, that's kind of crazy.
I could see that, though.
I could too. But yeah, it was the Royal Rumble, the annual event where the winners of the men's and women's Royal Rumble match go on to main event or go up against a champion of their choosing at WrestleMania. A lot of intrigue, a lot of curiosity with this. We're going to go through the card as it was. And opening the card was the 30 women Royal Rumble match, where, of course, the winner of this match earns a championship opportunity of her choosing for any of the championships in WWE at WrestleMania 41, and last in 1 hour, 10 minutes, and 20 seconds, winning in return fashion, Charlotte Flair.
Yes, it was obviously told beforehand that she was returning for the show. Charlotte looked great in this match.
Yeah.
This match in general was very, very fun.
Yeah, it was.
Very solid match.
Yeah.
I know some online critics were complaining about the influx of NXT talent, but listen, that's how deep that division is.
Yeah.
So I don't think that it's a negative. I thought everybody really did good performances in there. I thought Jordan Grace looked like $1 million.
Yeah, she did.
Especially for fans that are not familiar that she is now officially signed with World Wrestling Entertainment. And I think the spot that she did with Piper Niven, I think definitely got people talking. So
That was insane.
yeah, which that's what they needed to do. And I thought they had a very good star-making performance there. And I thought for all the talent that came in, really put on a hell of a match. And I thought Roxanne, there was one point I thought Roxanne Perez might pull it off.
I thought so too. I mean, she was one of the final two, lasting in the ring. Obviously, the other one was Charlotte Flair. But yeah, Roxanne ended up entering the Rumble at number 3, lasted 1 hour, 7 minutes, and 47 seconds. So she was the Iron Woman of this match, lasting 47 seconds longer than Liv Morgan, who lasted 1 hour and 7 minutes exactly. So, excuse me. But yeah, overall, Thought the setup was good. There was enough spots with some folks, the Chelsea Green doing her thing, eventually getting eliminated by Piper Niven in shocking fashion. You had the members of, Pure Fusion Collective, coming out eventually and running rush out of the ring. I'm like, it was nice. It was cool to see, though. But yeah, no, highlight was Jordan Grace coming in and then officially announcing, although it was like the worst kept secret we all knew, she signed with WWE. Not sure who she's with yet, though. Although you look at some of the postings online, I think she's going to NXT. But then, there's, of course, the big surprise. Because, hey, the dirt sheet said she wouldn't be here. The dirt sheet said she wasn't coming. Returning in the number 21 position, Alexa Bliss.
Big moment there, too. Very excited to see that she has returned. In fact, signed a 5-year deal, according to Sean Ross Sapp.
Yeah.
So, big moves for them, and it's great to see Alexa is back.
Yeah.
I am curious, though, where her character is going to go.
I've heard some rumblings.
Yeah, that's the thing, because obviously she was very connected to the late Bray Wyatt's character.
Uh-huh.
And obviously the Wyatt Six is doing their own thing.
They're on SmackDown.
Right, so...
I've heard rumblings Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, which I think would be a good landing spot for her.
And some people may think, well, she's got to go to SmackDown. She was dressed up like her previous character when she was last there. Okay, yes, but I also think that was her way of paying tribute to Bray, because
I agree.
You got to remember the last time she was on screen was the end of 2023
For the Rumble there.
for the Rumble there.
Yep.
That was her way of paying tribute to Bray.
Yeah.
At least that's how I took it.
Well, especially how she changed the jacket.
Yeah.
Instead of saying Fiend Forever, it said Friends Forever.
Yeah.
So I think
Great match, though.
Yeah. I mean, I think that was probably the biggest emotional return.
Yes.
Per se. But the match was great itself. Charlotte punched her ticket to wherever she wants to go.
Don't know where, although she's looking like she's a heel these days.
Well, to kind of segue a little bit, because obviously Monday Night Raw, she came back in front of the Cleveland crowd and was trying to really cut an emotional promo, and the fans were booing her out of the building.
Yeah, they were. Not Dominic Mysterio levels, but close.
But kind of surprising. I thought just a little bit.
I'm not.
Well, I think for the amount, and especially her coming back and trying to, say thank you to the fans.
Sure.
I thought for post-injury it was a little something. But
I'm not totally surprised, though, because, listen, I respect the hell out of Charlotte Flair. She's an incredible performer, and she's a great in-ring performer and everything else. Is she my favorite female wrestler of all time? No. But I do respect the hell out of her. But I think part of the thing is because of who she is and because of who she's attached to, it's almost akin to the LOL Cena wins type of thing, where she comes back after being, and of course, having her come back and not be in the Rumble when she was available would have been the most asinine thing I would have ever seen in professional wrestling. So that I'm not upset with her being in the Rumble, and personally, I don't hate her winning the Rumble. I understand why they did it for storyline purposes. But I think for a lot of folks, of course she comes back after, what did she say, like 18 months or whatever it was she had been gone. And of course she immediately, her first match, comes back and wins the Royal Rumble. And of course she's going to come back and immediately get a title shot opportunity at WrestleMania after not doing anything for the last 18 months. So I think that's more where the frustration came from of it's almost akin to LOL Cena wins.
Well, I think to a certain degree, but I think if you were going to really shake up and throw some intrigue into that WrestleMania match, no matter who she faces, there's going to be something there. I mean, I think as much as her versus Julia would be a fun match,
well, that'd be good.
I don't think they're going to do that right away.
No.
Her and Tiffany Stratton has been long rumored for quite some time.
They tried really hard selling the whole her versus Rhea thing, though.
Well, it makes sense, though, storyline-wise.
Yeah, it does.
Which, if they wanted to do, I could see it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be objecting to it, but it also depends on what they have lined up for Rhea otherwise.
I would say save that for like a SummerSlam, and let's just say, hypothetically, going down the road, okay, let's just say Charlotte challenges Tiffany at Mania and beats Tiffany. If they want to do the story, do it at SummerSlam. Charlotte versus Rhea, non-title match. Champion versus champion. See who's really the best.
Yeah, they might do that.
Because you could say, oh, they do that at Survivor Series. They haven't done champion versus champions at Survivor Series in a few years now.
No, but they've done it at the one show they do over in
Crown Jewel.
Thank you. Yeah, it's the one Crown Jewel, because that's where they had the last champion versus champion.
Yeah.
So I don't think they would do it there. I apologize. I'm blanking on the name of the show, actually. But when this match happens, I think what they're going to do is wait till this will main event a pay-per-view.
Oh yeah, easily.
Because I think that they're. I mean,
hell, they could do the Evolution pay-per-view.
Well, that'd be amazing if they did. I thought they should.
Yeah.
And why they haven't yet is beyond me. But that's a Triple H Nick Khan call.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in this situation though, they want to wait for a main event because you have to remember the first time that they were facing off at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
Or the second time, I should say, rather, they were supposed to main event, but they moved that for Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn versus the Usos,
Right.
which is the larger storyline. So,
Right.
If they want to try running it back and give them the spotlight, they'll tear the house down. So there's no question of it. It just depends on what WWE wants to do in this direction. But I think all signs are pointing to Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte.
Yep, that's what it's looking like. And hey, got to mention it because I'm sure somebody out there will yell we didn't mention it. Nikki Bella was there.
Yeah, Nikki Bella came back.
3 minutes, 4 seconds. No, yeah, cool to see.
Well, like I said, cameos are always something that the Royal Rumble is known for.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting to see if this is actually permanent coming back or what are we doing here.
I don't think at this point I don't think so.
You never know, so that's why we have to see.
Next up was the 2 out of 3 falls match for the WWE Tag Team Championships with DIY defending their belts against the Motor City Machine Guns and winning by a count of 2-1 because, of course, they went to the third fall. It's WWE. DIY retained their titles, winning in 14 minutes even.
Yeah, but how this ended, though, I got issues with.
Messy.
Well, the Street Profits came in and cost the Motor City Machine Guns the match at the end. And the reasoning behind it, in my opinion, didn't make a lot of sense. Because they're saying, well, they want to be the ones to beat DIY because DIY is trying to tick everybody off in that tag team division. I guess this would make sense if you're really building up something for Mania, like you're going to have a ladder match with all the tag teams.
Haven't done that in a few years.
Right. But
last one was the Orlando one. What was that, 33, 34?
Something like that.
Yeah.
So I think, though, if that's the route you're going, maybe I see
Sure.
this. But I think it really took away from the work that DIY and Motor City has been establishing on SmackDown for quite some time. So I'm not a huge fan of that.
I mean, if they want to go the ladder match route and have like 3, 4, 5 teams at WrestleMania going against the ladder match, I'm all right with that. But if you're going to stick with the strictly SmackDown teams, feel like you need, and I'm not by any means suggesting the Hardys in this instance, but like I feel like you need an infusion of like one of the tag teams from TNA just to like add some spice to it. There's nothing wrong with the SmackDown tag teams. I love them all. You know, they all put on great matches. But I look at that and I go, like I'm not super excited about it. But you take one of the TNA tag teams and you go, hey, these guys are going to be in there and chat. I'm like, ooh, all right. All of a sudden, I might not go up to get some food.
They'll have to come up with some good reason for this.
Yeah.
But like I say, in the moment right now, I don't really see the payoff. But we'll have to wait and see. I always say just trust in how they cook.
Yeah. Next up was a ladder match for the undisputed WWE Championship with the undisputed and Winged Eagle Championship belts suspended above the ring with Cody Rhodes defending against Kevin Owens and winning in 25 minutes and 5 seconds through hellacious means. Let's just call it that.
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes winning via, climbing the ladder and emerging victorious, retaining his championship.
Yeah, this was a very intense match. You knew both were going to bring it, and this is now paving the way for the Rhodeslander to finally emerge. Kevin Owens took some crazy bumps.
Oh, my God. Well, it's Kevin Owens in a ladder match. If you've never seen him in his Kevin Steen days of a ladder match, well, go watch some of those matches.
Yeah. But this is where Cody Rhodes ended him on the outside of the ring with an Alabama slam through the ladder on top of the announce table.
Yep.
Which Sami Zayn watched in horror and did not stop.
Which was the new announce table, which as of yet, I don't think we've seen broken yet.
I don't think so either.
I could be wrong. Hashtag ODPH pod.
But in this situation, this was enough to push Kevin Owens over the edge. He went after Sami Zayn on Monday Night Raw.
Yep.
With a very nasty eye injury.
Which, side note with Monday Night Raw, was your feet acting weird on Monday night?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
No, Netflix was having issues that night. Yeah, that was going over for everybody that night. So.
Okay.
But for Cody Rhodes, it's a win.
Yeah.
And then
he's out an indeterminate amount of time for injuries, quote unquote.
Right, which, I mean, it makes sense because with what happens next, we now have to speculate about who is going to be next. So let's get into that.
Yeah, so last and certainly not least in the main event of the evening, because, hey, we said it would be, is the 30-man Royal Rumble with a men's World Championship match at WrestleMania for the winner. Of course, that winner gets to choose between any of the champions they so choose, although usually they go with, the two main titles. An emerging victorious, winning in 1 hour, 20 minutes, and 15 seconds. Main event, Jey Uso.
Huge win.
Holy hell.
One that has been predicted since the days of 607 TWS. Jey Uso has won the fans over a la Bryan Danielson and the Yes movement.
He is the most over superstar right now, and if you can't see that, I don't know what to do, what to tell you.
Exactly.
He is moving merch, according to reports, like we haven't seen since the Stone Cold days.
Oh, no, the Yeet movement is going all over the place.
We saw it ourselves when WWE came through the 607 here back in June, July, something like that, for a house show, and Jey Uso was there. Now, granted, because of the way the arena is set up here, he couldn't do the entrance through the crowd like he does in a televised event, because there's probably like a 10-foot drop between the floor and where the seats are, so couldn't exactly do that, but he still came through the main entrance of the stage, and the entire arena, which was packed to capacity, mind you, doing the yeets, the little arm waving.
But during this match, though, it's a testament to how far he's come, because you see the talent pool that was in there.
Yeah.
And especially you get around the 20 to 27 mark.
Hall of Fame after Hall of Fame after Hall of Fame.
I mean, you think about it, it kicks off with a returning AJ Styles. Then who's next?
Braun Strowman.
Okay.
We got to know AJ Styles with his old music.
Yes, finally.
Then it was Braun Strowman. Then you get John Cena. And at this point, we got to it's every 2 minutes. That was every 60 seconds.
Yeah.
So number 23 was John Cena. Number 24 was CM Punk. Number 25 was Seth freaking Rollins. Good Lord. And then you get 26 was Dirty Dominic Mysterio.
Yes.
27 was Sami Zayn. 28 was Damian Priest. 29 was L.A. Knight.
Yeah.
And then number 30 was, Logan Paul. And also, mind you, by this point, entering before Jey Uso was Roman Reigns at 16, Drew McIntyre, Finn Balor, Shinsuke Nakamura. So right there, you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 world champion holders.
Yeah.
In that ring from just before Jey entered and after Jey entered. There were 10 former world champions in that ring. And some of them Hall of Famers. Some down the road, possibly. Right now, though, good Lord.
No, it was one of the most stacked Royal Rumbles I think we've ever seen.
Absolutely.
And you also have to remember that Joe Hendry showed up because we said his name.
Joe Hendry showed up at number 15.
Yeah, so
this was the first time that, at least in recent memory, that there hasn't been a lack of returns. The one I always remember was the first one I watched where it was in Philly and Bubba Ray showed up and the crowd went nuts. You go through and you look at the list of who was in there. The only unknown, surprise show-ups was Joe Hendry, although I think with the partnership with
everybody knew.
Everybody knew. And then I Show Speed, who got inserted because Akira Tozawa got injured, quote unquote, and they put I Show Speed in there. So realistically, there were only 2 surprises throughout this match. And in years past, I'm like, oh man, it sucks we didn't get more returns. It sucks we didn't get more legends showing up. This year, did not care. I was perfectly okay with it.
Well, the situation is the talent pool is that deep.
Yeah.
I mean, who are you going to take out of the equation to put in a legend? No, with no disrespect meant. No disrespect meant.
There's not a person in here I can think of.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, if you want to take a look at that latter half of the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I mean,
you could slide somebody in that ISO speed spot.
Yeah.
If you wanted to.
I mean, but and some people might not understand why they did it. Go look at the numbers that clip has done on social media.
It's a viral sensation.
And last I saw, it was over 300 million.
Yeah. So I understand why, but I'm like, if you want to, if you want to swap somebody out there, he would have been somebody. Maybe you could make an argument for some in the upper half.
I mean, you can make an argument for Otis, but then you kind of lose the moment he had with Chad Gable.
Right. I mean, that's the whole thing. They're doing storylines that make sense now, and we're not going to have a lot of returns, but this is proof of what's working in WWE, and that's everybody's invested.
I mean, even you look at, we'll just say the first 10, because that's where Jey Uso came in. Rey Mysterio, okay, you're not taking him out. Penta, there's no way in hell you're taking him out.
No, not right now.
Chad Gable, well, with who's already in the ring, and given the storyline with Chad Gable, and especially on Monday Night Raw, that he's going going to consult the dark forces of how to defeat a luchador. Mark my words, he's going to call Sami Zayn and see if he's still got an El Generico mask on hand. Calling it now. Carmelo Hayes, out of the ones I've said, that's the only one that I can see. Yeah, you might be able to say.
But the thing is with him though is he is getting great screen time on SmackDown, so it makes sense.
Then you got Santos Escobar at 5. Otis, who I mentioned, but then if you take Otis out, you lose the moment with Chad Gable, which personally I like seeing. Braun Breaker at 7, which again, no way in hell you're taking Breaker out of there.
Exactly.
Which side note, the singlet Breaker was wearing wasn't a Steiner Math one. It was one his dad wore, I think is what
it did look familiar.
It was one. It was at least, I don't think it was the same one. I think it was an homage to one either his dad or his uncle wore years ago. It was in homage.
Rick used to wear one like
yep.
that.
So it wasn't. Everyone's like, oh, it's Steiner Math. It wasn't Steiner Math. It was paying homage.
Yeah.
Then you got I Show Speed at 8, which that's the one. Okay, if you wanted to put somebody else in, but for the moment it made sense. And then you got Sheamus at number 9, which no.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I say, it made sense for what you had, and I thought everybody did a great job for the most part. I mean, I know there was the Penta controversy.
Yeah, which, I mean, listen, this is probably, without knowing his entire repertoire and his entire match history, probably the first time he's been in a match like this.
Yeah.
And now, that's not to say he hasn't been in like a battle royal match where you get thrown over the top rope and you're eliminated. I don't know if he's ever been in a match where it's like, oh, like you got to save yourself midway through.
Yeah, I mean,
most times you're like, oh, you're thrown over. Yeah, you're going out.
Yeah, so I think there was a little situation. I know it was rumored about Drew McIntyre having something there.
Which again, this isn't the first time we've gone down this road with Drew McIntyre. So
yeah,
take it for what you will.
Well, the whole thing there is I understand what his anger was.
Oh, sure,
because his anger was based off of it was just too many bodies in the ring, and when he got tossed, and it was out of cue. Which I mean, listen, he's a professional, he's passionate, I understand it. But you're going to have that from time to time.
Yep.
So that being said, I thought for everything else we got, it worked out well. John Cena lost.
Yeah.
Cut a very strong promo during the press conference after.
Vicious promo.
Yeah, which he said, I'm using it. And I know some people are online were trying to say it's his heels run now.
No, I don't think so. I think it's his, I'm done with this bullshit.
Yeah, I think it's just he's going to sell about like it's his last chance to finally win again. And
I also wouldn't be surprised if he does win the Elimination Chamber and he gets to WrestleMania and he loses.
Oh, I could see that happening too.
Because let's face it, we know he's going through the end of this year. There's 36 dates he's scheduled for. I don't know if that includes just like, oh, I'm going to show up and talk. So at the least, he's gone through one of those with the Rumble. Now, if that includes him showing up and declaring, he's going to be in, just show up and talk, then we're at least 2. Mm-hmm. So you're down to at least 35, maybe 34 more appearances. They're going to milk this through the end of the year.
Yeah.
I listen, it'd be great to see him get that 17 at WrestleMania. I don't think it'll happen. Just from a sheer business standpoint of the amount of merch and stuff you can sell and tickets you can sell with. Hell, it might be a situation where it's like some no-name, pay-per-view in the middle of September that's like not normally one that's, highly attended. When I say highly attended, I'm talking like it doesn't make the top 5, highest attendances they get for a pay-per-view that year.
Yep.
But all of a sudden, if you got John Cena in a world championship title match against pick your champion, butts are going to be in the seats.
Mm-hmm. Oh, completely. I mean, they could definitely do something like that. I mean, I think if he does win, though, WrestleMania, that'll be a great storyline to do.
Absolutely.
If Cody, because I think he's going to wind up facing Cody Rhodes.
Could be.
I think Cody fully goes Rhodes Lander there and cheats to win.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that throws everything off. But I think overall, though, it gave some great storylines and moved everybody forward. I think now we have a triple threat in the waiting with Seth and Roman and CM Punk.
Give that to me,
which that'll be a phenomenal match.
Oh.
Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, like we alluded to.
Fight forever.
Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering what the stipulation is going to be now for him.
Yeah, well, I just want to remind folks, Kevin Owens' whole gripe is, he got screwed out of the title opportunity at Saturday night's main event and blah, blah, blah. Let's not forget, he did it to himself.
Mm-hmm.
He bumped the ref during that match. The ref fell out of the ring because of him.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind.
Yeah, so they've now set the stage for a few things going forward.
Yep.
And then we just have to kind of wait to see how things start shaping up because Elimination Chamber is next on the docket.
3 weeks away. Yeah, 3 weeks away because it's taking place March 1st from the Rogers Centre in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. For those of you who don't know, that is where the Toronto Blue Jays play. So it's going to be another packed house for this damn thing. We do know of the women's Elimination Chamber match. Thus far, only Liv Morgan has qualified for that. Another spot will be determined in a match determined by Bailey and Lyra Valkyria. And then on the men's side, John Cena obviously declared himself, and then you had CM Punk win a match against Sami Zayn on Monday Night Raw, so they're the two. Of the remaining four, two more spots will be determined between a match between Rey Mysterio and Logan Paul, and then Seth freaking Rollins and Finn Balor.
Well, I think in that one, I think Seth wins, and I don't doubt Logan Paul wins.
I could see it.
I think Logan Paul could quietly sneak in there.
If there are brass knucks involved, yeah.
I mean, it's
been a while.
I'm not saying it's out of the realm of thought. Let me just put it that way. But I think that they've got.
I think Logan will win, and I think because he's got the brass knucks.
Yeah, he'll do some nefarious things to win, but I don't know if that's enough to punch his ticket to WrestleMania. He will be in attendance for that. Nevertheless.
Oh, absolutely.
But that said, hit us up on that hashtag ODPHpod. What is your thoughts about the Royal Rumble that was? Are you happy with the outcomes? If not, let's talk about it in a positive manner. And speaking of positive wrestling talk, no better place to tune into than 8 p.m. every Thursday night on Nerd Initiative YouTube for Wrestling Night Live. That said, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
You ever wondered what comics Mark from Vale Mai is into? What Zach from Left Behind's favorite MCU movies are? Well, Metalcore Nerds is the show for you. My name is Sean Mott, and here at Metalcore Nerds, we cover the latest things in pop culture, whether it be Star Wars, Marvel, DC, AEW, and everything else in between. You can listen to the show every Monday on Adobe Howl at 7 p.m. Eastern, or find it anywhere you find podcasts after it debuts on the radio station.
Coming back for another segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast, and it is time to put a final stamp on the NFL season. One game left to play. It is the biggest sporting event in arguably the world. It is in North America. It is in the United States.
It is in the U.S.
That being said, Pat, what are we talking?
We are talking Super Bowl 59 taking place this Sunday, February the 9th, 6:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox from the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Yes, storylines not as loud as it was for the championship weekend. The Kansas City Chiefs are your representatives from the AFC, defeating the Buffalo Bills in controversial fashion, in my opinion. Which is still lingering around for the media week. So they're on their quest to have a three-peat.
First time ever in the NFL history if this happens.
Standing in their way is an old rival from a couple Super Bowls ago. The Philadelphia Eagles, led by Saquon Barkley, who defected from the New York Giants to run crazy in the Kelly Green uniforms and just absolutely had an MVP caliber season, punching their ticket, defeating their rivals, the Washington Commanders, 55-23. So now it is set for the upcoming Sunday. Currently, the opening line, I believe, was Kansas City favored by 1.5.
Still that line as we record.
So that being said, we're going to kind of break this down on offense and defense and kind of give our opinions about who's going where, who's going to have the advantage, and who's going to be the outcome at the end of the game. So, Pat, that said, let's talk about their offenses. What's standing out to you?
Well, you look at the offenses, obviously, you got a couple X factors on both sides of the ball. Obviously, when you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, that X factor would be one, Saquon Barkley having an MVP caliber year, as you alluded to. Almost came close to breaking the NFL single season rushing record in terms of yards. Then you got Jalen Hurts, who's also dynamic in and of himself. Then he's got the great wide receivers, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and also got the pretty good tight end Dallas Goedert. Flip side, you've got the Kansas City Chiefs, who, I mean, listen, what more do you need to say? This is the third time they've been in the Super Bowl in recent years, and not much has changed since last year. Obviously, they've got Patrick Mahomes leading them at quarterback, Kermit the Frog, as some like to call him. They got Kareem Hunt at running back, who's not a bad running back. They've got the young rookie sensation Xavier Worthy at wide receiver, Hollywood Brown, who they acquired in the offseason, as one of their wide receivers. Juju Smith-Schuster made a return to the team after 1 year in New England at wide receiver. And then they've got Mr. Taylor Swift himself, Travis Kelce, over there at the tight end position. So I would say, at least in terms of offenses and on paper, pretty evenly matched.
I would say so. I think that you have to really take a look at both rosters, and you have two great quarterbacks leading the charge. Patrick Mahomes has been here before. He's very familiar with winning at the big stage, and he knows how to get the job done.
Yes.
On the flip side, Jalen Hurts has to win this for, I guess, his legacy. I think there's more pressure on him to do well. And it's kind of weird to say because I think all the pressure should be on Kansas City because of the whole three-peat idea.
Yeah.
But really, I think this is on Philadelphia because they have all the talent. They've had a little bit of drama this entire season between the wide receiver core and Hurts. And with Saquon Barkley being there, they have never had a running attack like this in their favor.
God, no.
So now it's the question of can they go and show up and really impose their will? And I'm going to say it's going to be a back and forth game. I think the point spread is right on the money.
Point spread is currently, let me open it up, 48.5.
Yeah, I think it's going to be right around there.
Yeah, probably.
I truly do. Because I think both teams are going to be very cautious. I think there's going to be a lot of Saquon Barkley early in the game, but it just depends on what Steve Spagnuolo game plans for him. And we've said this many times, and I don't think there's any disputing this. He's one of the best to ever do it as a defensive coordinator.
This century, absolutely, all time in that conversation.
He's, like I say, conversation-wise, absolutely. So if anybody is going to stop Saquon, it will be him. So that's going to make Hurts want to beat them in the air. If he can get something out of Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown and company, they've got a great chance to beat him because I think they have a better wide receiver core than Kansas City. If you take Travis Kelce out of the equation and make Xavier Worthy show up and beat you, and granted, I'm still not acknowledging that one catch for 26 yards that was a drop. I haven't seen anything out of that roster that scares me on any stretch of the imagination. I think Pacheco and Hunt are solid running backs, but are they going to take over a game like Saquon? I don't think so.
Hell no.
Is Travis Kelce the Travis Kelce of old, or is he just an old Travis Kelce? In this situation, he has not looked great this entire year.
No.
And I think that he's been trying to hype himself up. If you hear him in the press conferences, that he's got more left in the tank. Like he's not coming to that realization that I think the game is finally catching you. And it happens to everybody. Like, listen, I'm not saying he's not a great player, but I think in this circumstance, he has not looked like a dominant factor.
Looking at his stats, and specifically for receiving for the year, he finished with 97 receptions, which was up actually from last year. Last year he had 93. But certainly down from his usual the last couple of years, where he had 105 the one year, 103, 110. Yards was absolutely down and was actually the lowest receiving yards he's had in a season since his sophomore year in 2015. Which and you know what? It's 823 years. It's the lowest amount of receiving yards he's had in his entire career. The previous low was his rookie year, which was 2014, where he had 862. And then touchdowns, he only had 3, which were a career low for the season as well.
Yeah. So that said, right now, I will give the edge to Philadelphia.
Okay.
And I think that if they can keep it close, they're going to be okay. If they can jump out to an early lead, I think it's all the better. But it just depends on if they can do what good teams do, and that is keep great quarterbacks off the field. If they can have Saquon have 100 yards rushing, I think they have a very, very good chance of winning this outright.
I would say so. Even if you want to push it to like 110, 115. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, but I think 100's the benchmark.
Yeah.
If he can run for 100 on them, I think they have a really strong chance to win.
Yeah.
And then taking a look at the defensive side of things, what you got?
I mean, defensive side of things, obviously, you start over with Kansas City. They got the monster Chris Jones there on the front line. They also got a couple decent pieces. They got in the linebacking core. They got Nick Bolton, Leo Chenal in there. And then on the safety side, Justin Reed, Brian Cook are going to be busy all damn game with the Eagles wide receivers side of things. And then Philly, I mean, what can you say about Philly? They've got a monster front end there. On the you got Milton Williams, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter on the front lines. The linebacking core, Nolan Smith Jr., Zach Bowen, Oren Burks, all got work. Then on the safety side of things, they got C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Reed Blankenship, who are pretty damn good themselves. Darius Slay Jr., who's been a monster all year. I think for me, if I got to give an edge, just in terms of overall, who I like better, I like the Eagles defense a little bit better. Like Chris Jones is a monster in and of himself, but he can't do the job of the entire defensive side of the ball.
I think if you take a look at how Kansas City was facing Buffalo, and I think if you take a look at that high-scoring offense that the Bills had, Kansas City didn't look dominant against them.
Nope.
And in fact, that's why there's the controversy there is concerning the refereeing in that game.
Uh-huh.
And I think this is also going back to a lot of what we've seen from Kansas City throughout this year. I don't think they're that deep in this in as much as they've been in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I think Chris Jones has been playing all he can. He's uplifting his teammates.
Yeah.
The rest of them have had a very solid run.
Mm-hmm.
Albeit, though, against Philadelphia, who I know is going to get at them. They blitz. They have no shame about it. They're going to put some pressure on Mahomes. I think Jalen Carter is going to have a dominant game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's going to have to take that over if they have a chance to win this. But like I say, I agree with you about Blankenship and Slay, and like their secondary is going to have their hands full. But I think where they're going to do better than the Bills is I think they're not going to care about hitting somebody.
No.
I think they're not going to be worried about having a 15-yard penalty get called on them. I think they're going to play them very physical.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to give a Worthy and a Smith-Schuster fits.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if they can disrupt them just enough,
Mm-hmm.
I think we got a good chance of seeing them really grab a hold of this game and take
Yeah,
it over.
I definitely think looking at the offensive line and then the Philly defensive line, I think that Philly defensive line is absolutely going to give that KC offensive line fits.
Yeah, I think they have to. I mean, they have all the tools there,
Mm-hmm.
but it comes down to one factor that we should address, and that's coaching.
Yeah.
Andy Reid, love him or hate him, but I mean, I don't think too many people hate him.
There's probably a few.
Well, I mean, outside of Las Vegas fans, Denver fans, and
the entire
Chargers,
AFC West, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say they have a legit gripe.
A couple NFC East fans.
But I think in his situation, though, he has put together something in Kansas City that I don't think a lot of people thought he was going to do when he went out there.
At least not to this level of success.
No, and I think that they have gotten lucky that Mahomes has turned out the way he has.
Yeah.
Because I know the argument is always, well, what if Buffalo never traded that pick? Do you think that he'd have that much success in Buffalo? I think he would be successful, but I don't think he would be as successful because I think he fell into the right system for him.
And if you want a further story on that, go look up the Adam Schefter story on Patrick Mahomes, and I want to say it was the Minnesota Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
There's a story Adam Schefter has. I won't go into it because he can tell it better than I can. But there's a story. Just YouTube search Adam Schefter Patrick Mahomes story. There's a whole reason he ended up in Kansas City, and it's kind of bonkers.
Yeah. Like Kansas City knew what they wanted, and they knew they were going to get the most out of him. And especially, he's played in Texas. He knows how to do the football down there. And like I say, that's big high school football. So he's ready for the expectations that are coming with that. Like I said, he's always been a player that's shown up. And I think Reid has molded him into one that is very confident. And albeit, though, they did something in the Bills game, not to keep going back to it, but it was something that I noticed, and I have not seen in a while. Reid was having him run.
Mm-hmm.
He has not done that since he got his leg hurt.
True.
Doing that botched QB sneak way back when.
True.
So that said, Reid is taking gambles. And that's where I'm kind of getting at with this.
And the Eagles are just coming off of having to face a very mobile quarterback. Let's not forget what Jaden Daniels was able to do in the collegiate level at LSU.
Mm-hmm.
He's very mobile. And I would say at this point, more mobile than Patrick Mahomes is.
Oh, completely.
So they're prepared and they're ready for that.
Yep. And I think Nick Sirianni has done a phenomenal job with his team.
Absolutely.
And if it wasn't for Dan Campbell, I think he'd be a lock for Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it has to go to Campbell, but we'll have to see how the voting all shapes up. But I think for Sirianni there, he needs to not get too caught up in the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to let his players play. He has to stick to his guns, and he has to keep the pressure going on Mahomes.
Yeah.
I think if you start giving him an inch of wiggle room to get back into a game, he's going to take full advantage.
And you've also got to make adjustments.
Yes, and I completely agree with you. I think that he's going to have to. I think he's going to have to weather an early onslaught from Steve Spagnuolo's defense, and he's going to have his guys pivot ready to go and adjust to it on the fly.
Given as dynamic as the Eagles' offense is between the receivers and running back and Hurts, Spagnuolo is going to throw the kitchen sink at him to start that game.
Oh, yeah.
You know, masking things, faking things, false looks, like you name it. Spagnuolo's going to throw the playbook at him.
Yeah, it's going to be a true challenge for him. And
Yeah.
it's going to be one. But, I mean, in this situation, I do give Andy Reid the advantage.
Mm-hmm.
So that said, special teams, do you have anything you want to touch upon there? Or?
Not really. I mean, Bucker, off-field things aside, is a good kicker. So he's one that jumps out to me. I had him on fantasy for part of this year, at least until he got hurt. Jake Elliott isn't bad either.
Yeah.
But in terms of like punt return, kick return, not really.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's probably even as
Yeah.
you can get with these teams.
Yeah.
So that said, Pad, who's taking home the Lombardi this year?
So just a couple things real quick that I saw. Both things I saw today. One, there's been the whole three-peat and Pat Riley thing. Pat Riley's got the trademark for three-peat and has had it for years now.
Yes.
He has okayed the Kansas City Chiefs to use said trademark, which having flashbacks when the Patriots tried and trademarked 19-0 before they went into the Giants games. So take that for what you will. At least the Kansas City fans are smart enough that they didn't dress up the Rocky statue in Philly. Because that curse is undefeated. The other one is, in this century, every time the Super Bowl has been played between two teams that include one team traveling east and one team traveling west, the team traveling west has won. So it happened in 2002 where the Rams traveled east, Patriots traveled west, Patriots won. Raiders traveled east, Buccaneers traveled west, Buccaneers won. Steelers Seahawks in 2006. Steelers won that one. Cardinals Steelers in 2009. Steelers won that one. Ravens 49ers in 2013. Ravens won that one. Seahawks Patriots in 2015. Patriots won that one. Patriots again in 2019 against the Rams. Then you got 2024 where the Chiefs and 49ers played each other. 49ers traveled east. Chiefs traveled west. Chiefs won. Well, in this instance, games in New Orleans. Kansas City's traveling east. Philly's traveling west. Take that for what you will. But no, I think for this one, it's going to be a good game. It's going to be high scoring. Commercials are going to be great. Halftime show is going to be legendary.
Yes, I was going to say, for anybody
anybody who didn't see the Grammy Awards or the highlights from it, it's going to be legendary. But no, I think ultimately at the end of the day, it's just too much for Kansas City to do with as dynamic as the Philadelphia offense is between Hurts, the receivers, and I think Saquon Barkley is going to be the ultimate X factor in that game because James Cook, no disrespect, is not on the same level as Saquon Barkley is. Talent-wise, production-wise, whatever, intangibles you want to measure it by. And he gave Kansas City fits for a good portion of that game. What's going to happen when they go against Saquon for a full game? And they make adjustments and whatever else, and they've got to face Saquon as dynamic as he is. Because let's not forget, he's a hell of a runner, and he puts on amazing highlights and amazing stats and everything else. I just don't know if the Kansas City offense, I think, will be able to keep up with Philly's offense. I don't know if ultimately at the end of the day, if you're talking, I need one of these two defenses to get a stop. At least one, because I think that's what it's going to come down to. It's going to come to at least one, maybe two stops. If I had to pick between the two, I'm picking Philly.
All right. Well, I think that's a great pick, Pat.
Okay.
I think this ultimately is going to be a test of wills.
Yeah.
And I think that the Super Bowl is going to be, a spectacle. And I know that there's going to be a boycott and people aren't going to be watching. And then, like I say, there is a cloud hanging overhead here because I believe this is the first time in my lifetime I have had to see both the commissioner and the referee association explain that there wasn't a quote-unquote conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
I know it's been reported on a few different sites. It's a statement from NFL Referees Association's executive director Scott Green, who said, quote, "It is insulting and preposterous to hear conspiracy theories that somehow 17 officiating crews consisting of 138 officials are colluding to assist one team." End quote. That is coming from Tom Pessolero, who is the article is now shared on Bleacher Report amongst other places.
Yep.
So that said, like I say, there's a lot of intrigue going on concerning this. And I think that we have to kind of sit back and say, what kind of game are we going to get? Is this going to be an X factor in this game? Because I think if somebody is worried a little bit,
Sure.
then you have to say, okay, what does that mean for Kansas City? What does that mean for Philadelphia? So I'm going to try taking that out of the equation because I think that if there is an egregious refereeing job to the likes that happened with the Bills game, I don't think the NFL is going to like the PR.
There'll be a full-blown riot.
Yeah, swing that's going to happen.
In person, online, you name it.
Oh, I think they're going to be heavily scrutinized. So I think Kansas City needs to play a perfect game. To be honest with you.
Yeah, they do.
I think Andy Reid will be ready to go. I think he'll have Mahomes ready to go. I think the veterans that have been here before will be ready to go. However, they are going to be facing a Philadelphia team that was much different than the team they faced before. Because with Saquon Barkley in that backfield, that is an X factor that they have to plan for. Now, Steve Spagnuolo, I don't doubt finding a way to slow him down. Will it be enough? It's a great question. And I think they might slow him down enough that this turns into a shootout per se between Hurts and Mahomes. I don't think you're going to have the tush-push being a deciding factor here.
Probably not.
I think you're going to have some late aerial heroics. And this is going to be a question of, can Kansas City stop them long enough? And as much as I am rooting for Philly, and I am stressing this, I am rooting for Philly. I think this is going to be Kansas City 31, Philadelphia 27. I hope I am wrong. And please, if I am wrong, you can say you told me so, and if Philly wins. Because I am just saying I have this weird suspicion that the knowledge and experience that Reed and company have is going to catch Sirianni and company off guard. I can't give you like an exact thing, but I think if they can neutralize Saquon just enough, and I think Spagnuolo will.
Sure.
Because literally you've given him 2 weeks to plan. It's like giving Belichick 2 weeks to plan. If he can shut him down just enough, you're going to have to take the wide receivers and really have them step up and have a great game. Can A.J. Brown do that? Can Devontae Smith do that? I feel they can, but you're also going to have to compete with Patrick Mahomes and clock management, and that's going to be equally as tough. Like I say, this is going to be a back-and-forth game, no question about it.
Repeats aren't easy.
They're not easy, but I will say this. I'll go on record right now and say this. If Kansas City does 3, they're not doing 4.
No.
They won't do 4.
I mean, there's a reason when you look at the 4 major sports in North America, baseball, football, hockey, and basketball, that the last time a three-peat was done in those 4 sports was the Kobe Shaq Lakers in like the late 90s, early 2000s, whatever it was. And prior to that was the Yankees in the late 90s. Like ever since, all 4 sports has not been a three-peat. You've had repeats.
You've had repeats, but
never three-peats.
But in this salary cap era that the NFL, which I will give them credit for all day, the fact they have a hard cap that has no wiggle room has made the game very, very level for all teams to at least compete. Now, are there certain bad teams? Yes. But are they bad organizations?
Also, yes.
Well, listen, records speak for themselves. So I think, though, with Kansas City, and especially when players are making money and it's Super Bowl and that's an extra, chance if you're a free agent to make some more money, you're not going to keep the same team around. And I think, though, Travis Kelce's contract I know is coming up. I mean, like I say, I could see him just walking off in the sunset after this. He's got other ventures going on.
Yeah, we've got a lot going on.
But we'll have to wait to see how it all shapes up on Sunday. And like I say, I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I'm not betting on this game personally because I am very unsure about this.
Sure.
But I will be rooting very hard for the Eagles because I really would like to see them prevent the three-peat.
I just can't in good conscience root for Kansas City.
Oh, I don't blame you. Listen, I
just can't.
I'm not rooting for them. Like I say, you're asking me my fandom? No, trust me.
Like if there had been a couple teams that won in between these 3 Super Bowls for Kansas City, I might be on the fence about it. Like, you know what? It is what it is. I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't mind it, whatever else. I'd kind of be wishy-washy about the whole thing. But it's the fact that we're on the 3rd one in a row and like the 4th one in 5 years.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. It's just, Well, even with the Patriots winning 6, There was like 10 years between those 6 Super Bowls.
Well, I think it goes back to the point I alluded to earlier, which is going to be the next factor that we have to watch because, unfortunately, in my opinion, it was brought up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the referee calling.
Yeah.
And I think if you've taken a look at the years and like, listen, you can go back through and make your own opinions about this. But I think we've been very honest about our opinions about it. And like we say, that's just our opinions.
Mm-hmm.
I think the fact that has played a factor in certain games,
Yeah.
how the ball is bounced. But
Yeah.
I think it was very evident in Buffalo last week that like I say, things went the Chiefs' way one too many times for my liking, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
My opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the fact it was actually addressed publicly.
Yeah. I also think just because of the fact it was addressed publicly and it's been such a talking point, not just this season, but the last couple.
Yeah, but I think it's been so blatant this year.
Sure. But I just think they're hopefully, and maybe I'm just being an optimist and foolish and whatever else, but I'm just hoping that they call it down the middle. You know, there's no favoritism. There's no this, there's no that, because if there is some questionable calls that all start going the Chiefs' way, there'll be riots.
They will do, yeah. I will agree with you. I think that they'll get on social media.
And I'm not sitting here saying, "Oh, people need to riot if Kansas City."
No.
By no means am I saying that. I'm just saying, PR wise, it's going to get ugly for the NFL.
You take a look at the past 2 weeks since the Bills game.
Yeah,
How ugly has it been?
it ain't been pretty.
Exactly.
I've seen uglier, but it ain't been pretty.
Right. But it's now still, we're talking about it how many days outside?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going away. In fact, the fact that Travis Kelce even mentioned it during his press conference. Why is this even getting brought up? Like, this is where your PR team should tell you, don't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
But yet you did, so now there's going to be that many more eyes watching and scrutinizing every call.
I mean, Chris, you had a reporter ask Patrick Mahomes at media night, who his favorite ref was.
Yeah.
Not not in a joking way. They were dead at. Well, it was probably joking in the manner because they were asking.
Right, but still.
But they were coming out dead serious. Like, hey, who's your favorite ref?
Yeah. So
like when it gets to that point, it ain't good.
It's not good, and that's what I say. They're going to need to really maneuver around this and really just let the play stand on the field. And I hope there isn't any controversial calls, because if there is, it is going to be a very, very ugly week on social media after this game. Like if it comes down to a late-minute field goal, God forbid, just brace for impact, folks. But we gave you our picks on the Super Bowl, and like I say, go fly, Eagles fly all day here. That's the official endorsement. I hope I am wrong, but let me know in the comments. Let me know where you're listening to us on social media, and let Pad know too. I mean, who you calling? The Eagles, the Chiefs, who's walking away with Lombardi this year for Super Bowl 59. Let us know. We have one last break. We'll be right back.
This is Tom from Tom Joe Lou,
This is Matt from Sideroom Sounds.
and you're listening to ODPH Podcast.
Wanna go where no one knows my name, to the desert, the oceans, or the plains. 'Cause I wanna go.
Coming back for the final segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast. Pad, what you got?
Got a couple things to talk about. First of which is the local minute. Haven't been able to do the local minute for a while just because the Binghamton Black Bears website wasn't working quite right, and I couldn't see the results of what they had played and everything else. That is back up, so I can start doing that again. Looking at the standing for the Federal Prospects Hockey League, that is the league our local Binghamton Black Bears play in, who are celebrating their 15th year, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations to them. The Empire Division, where our Binghamton Black Bears play, currently they are, for 36 games played, first place with a record of 26 wins, 4 losses, and then 1 loss in overtime. They got 3 overtime wins and 2 shootout wins. They are ahead of Port Huron, who is in second place. Danbury's in third place. Watertown's in fourth. Fraser is in fifth place. Poughkeepsie is in sixth place. And then Danville is in seventh place. Binghamton, though, commanding lead with 89 points ahead, and they're ahead of Port Huron, who has 57. Commanding lead as things go. Looking at their results they had from this past week, Sunday, January 26th, they had a game that was on the road playing the Seawolves. They won that game by the final score of 5-2. Went back on the road for a game, they came home for a home game against the Columbus River Dragons. Won that game by the final score of 11-4.
Oh,
Good Lord.
jeez.
Yeah. And then came back on Saturday, February 1st, with a win against the Columbus River Dragons by the final score of 5-1. A couple games coming up this weekend as well. There's just the one game this weekend as we record. They will be at home in the Visions Veterans Memorial Arena. Game time 7 o'clock Eastern on Saturday, February 8th. They're playing Poughkeepsie. So for more tickets, information, all that good stuff, because they got a little bit of a home stretch here coming up. They got that game. They got 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow. 5, 6. They got 6 home games coming up over the next couple of
Wow.
weeks. So they got a nice little home stretch. They're playing Poughkeepsie. They're playing the Motor City Rockers for a couple games. They're playing the Danville Dashers for a couple of games before they go back on the road in the first part of March. So for more tickets, information, all that good stuff, BinghamtonBlackBears.com. Now we got to talk a little bit of baseball news, and no, it's not the fact that the one voter who did not vote for Ichiro did not choose to have their name revealed. That is a story, but that's not the story we're talking about.
Yeah.
Because hey, I think everybody expected that. No, it's MLB fired an umpire. Yes, folks, that's true. MLB does fire their umpires, and boy howdy, once you hear what this is for, it's kind of wild. Reading from an article on ESPN.com from Jesse Rogers, quote, after a lengthy appeals process, Major League Baseball on Monday has fired umpire Pat Hoberg for sharing legal sports betting accounts with a friend who bet on baseball and for intentionally deleting messages key to the investigation into his conduct. MLB said Hoberg, quote, adamantly denied betting on baseball directly or indirectly, with Commissioner Rob Manfred saying there was, quote, no evidence that Hoberg directly bet on games or manipulated the outcomes of any games in any way. In its statement, MLB said it fired Hoberg for failing to uphold the integrity of the game, and that he should have known that his friend, a professional poker player, had bet on baseball from the share account. Hoberg, 38, was widely regarded as the best ball strike umpire in Major League Baseball. He can apply for reinstatement no earlier than the start of spring training in 2026. Quote, I take full responsibility for the errors in judgment that are outlined in today's statement, Hoberg said in a statement via the Major League Baseball Umpires Association. Those errors will always be a source of shame and embarrassment to me. Major League Baseball umpires are held to a high standard of personal conduct, and my own conduct fell short of that standard. That said, to be clear, I have never and would never bet on baseball in any way, shape, or form. I have never provided and would never provide information to anyone for the purpose of betting on baseball. Upholding the integrity of the game has always been of the utmost importance to me, close quote. So, why is this such a big deal? Well, it's the first time I can remember they've ever fired an umpire for anything.
This is brand new to me, too.
The other thing is, like the article said, he is one of the best ball strike caller in Major League Baseball. And in fact, during the 2022 World Series, and specifically Game 2, where he was behind the home plate, this was the Astros versus the Philadelphia Phillies, he called a quote-unquote perfect game. In that, every ball he called a ball was a ball. Everything he called a strike was a strike. There was nothing to like, oh, he called this a strike, but it was like, 3-4 inches off the plate. No. He called 129 pitches correctly. So wild to think and wild to see. But hey, when you're sharing an account with a guy and he goes and bets on baseball, when you share said account, you should know.
Yeah, this is...
And good on him for owning up to like, hey, listen, I didn't do it, but I still screwed up. I take onus on that.
Yeah, you got to take ownership on that, but I think the ownership is like, you got to be smarter. Mm-hmm. Then why would you even tempt fate there? That is my argument concerning that. And I'm not going to just pour more gasoline on a fire there. Yep. But at least he owned up to it. He's got to take the fall for it, and we'll see what happens from here. Yeah. So I got a couple here. Okay. One of which I know it's been a while. UFC right now.
Oh, yeah.
We have to just kind of quickly recap a weekend that was, because...
How do you like UFC with your morning coffee?
Yeah. There was a lot of events happening over the past week. I believe they're on a stretch run of 11 straight weekends.
Something like that, yeah.
Which is absolutely wild to think about. But this past weekend, Israel Adesanya got dealt a very nasty KO loss to Manov at the head of the fight night that he was appearing on. Very bad loss for Izzy. I'm not exactly sure where he is going from here on this, but I know it's not going to be anything pleasant. Michael Venom Page also defeated Shara Magnetov. Also in a decision match too. So like I say, they've been having some solid fights going on too. I know we haven't had a chance to really dive into it, but this weekend there is one pay-per-view that has got some headlights going on, and I believe that is UFC 312.
It is, yeah, taking place from Sydney, Australia. So this will absolutely be an early start time for us here in the States. But yeah, taking place at the Kudos Bank Arena. You've got UFC 312, where on the main card, you've got Jake Matthews taking on Francisco Prado in a welterweight division matchup. Jimmy Crute taking on Rodolfo Bellato in a light heavyweight matchup. Justin Tafa taking on Taliesin Teixeira in a heavyweight matchup. Then your co-main event of the evening for the UFC Women's Strawweight Division Championship. Zhang Weili defending her belt against Tatiana Suarez.
Suarez is going to give her problems. She's going to give her big problems. I think we're going to be talking NU by the end of the night.
Could be.
I really think so.
Could be. So looking at the records for both of these individuals, Tatiana Suarez, good Lord Almighty, 10 matches, 10 wins, 0 losses. She is on, oh my Lord have mercy. Yeah, she's going to give her fits. In those 10 losses, 2 are by knockout, 5 are by submission, and 3 are by decision. She's currently on a 2-fight submission win streak. Her last fight was a guillotine choke submission win against Jessica Andrade in 2023. Prior to that, it was another guillotine choke submission against Montana De La Rosa back in February of 2023. So, hey, Zhang, watch out for the guillotine choke.
Yeah.
Just an early prediction, maybe an early spoiler. Flip side for Zhang Weili, 28 professional matches, 25 wins, 3 losses, currently on a 4-fight win streak, beating her last opponent, Yan Xiaonan, with a unanimous decision win. Beating Amanda Lemos, with a unanimous decision win. That was back in August of 2023. Rear naked choke submission win against Carla Esparza. That was back at UFC 281 in 2022. And then spinning back fist knockout against Joanna Jędrzejczyk. That was in June of 2022 at UFC 275. Last losses, because we're 2 in a row, came to Thug Rose Namajunas. Back-to-back, 282 at UFC 261 in 2021. And then about 6 months later, again at UFC 268 in November of that same year.
Suarez keeps his stand in. I think it's going to be a long night. I really do.
Suarez takes it to the ground. There might be an issue.
Well, I think
Lord.
I think Zhang can hang with the wrestling. I think the grappling, that's going to be the key factor. If she can avoid submissions, she'll be all right. However, though, Suarez is no joke. Suarez is going to come in there and really apply pressure. I see this getting ended in the 4th round. I'll say by knockout.
Okay.
But I would not doubt a submission here either. But I think we're going to be saying NU at the end of the night.
I think we're going to say and still. It won't be easy. And it's not going to be like a 1st or 2nd round. You know, she's going to get her lucky and knock her out. But it's going to be a battle. That's for sure. Then for your main event of the evening, the fight we're all here to see in the middleweight division for the UFC Middleweight Championship, you've got Dricus Du Plessis taking on Sean Strickland.
Well, this is a definitely interesting matchup happening here. Du Plessis and Strickland do not get along in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, like water and oil.
Strickland is a character, nevertheless. He has earned this title shot. Love him or hate him. Listen, when he's in the cage, he gets down to business, so I can't take anything away from him. Du Plessis is on a hell of a win streak right now.
I'm looking at it. Good God Almighty. For Du Plessis, 24 professional matches, got a record of 22 wins, 2 losses, 9 wins are by knockout, 11 are by submission, 2 are by decision. Put it to you this way, folks. The easier way to say it is his last loss, he wasn't even in the UFC yet. It was for a federation called Konfrontika Suci Walki. Was a promotion based in Poland, where he lost via knockout to a gentleman by the name of Roberto Soldic on October 6th, 2018.
Yeah.
After that, he went on an absolute tear, has not lost since, beating the likes of Brad Tavares, Darren Till, Derek Brunson, Robert Whittaker, Sean Strickland, interestingly enough.
By a split decision. Very controversial.
And then face crank submission in his last fight against Stylebender.
Yeah.
For Sean Strickland, in 35 professional matches, has a record of 29 wins, 6 losses, 11 wins are by knockout, 4 are by submission, 14 are by decision, currently on a 1-fight winning streak. Won his last fight against Paulo Costa by a split decision win. And then before that was the Dricus Du Plessis split decision lost, and prior to that, he was on a 3-fight winning streak, beating Israel Adesanya by unanimous decision. And then won his fight before that with a TKO knockout. That was at a UFC on ESPN card. And then had a unanimous decision win against Nasruddin Imavov in January of 2023.
Yeah, so this one is really going to come down to if Strickland can avenge his loss, can he do a smarter game plan? Because I think he just got outpointed in the last match that he had with Duplessis. I'm going to say end still.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing.
It's very tough to throw somebody off that's got a ton of momentum on their side. Duplessis is on a roll right now. It's not to say Strickland's going to just be walked over. This is going to go to decision. This is going to be split decision again.
Oh, yeah.
I would not doubt that this is a razor-sharp victory for Duplessis. I don't think this is going to get finished one way or another. I wouldn't doubt them running this back at some point, but But if Strickland winds up losing this, I don't think he's going to get a title shot anytime soon.
So I'm looking at the scorecard for the last time these two fought. That was UFC 297 in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Two judges scored the contest 48-47, with both judges scoring the first round for Strickland, rounds 2, 3, and 4 going to Driscus, and then round 5 going to Strickland. The third judge scored it for Sean Strickland, with the first round going to Strickland, second round going to Duplessis, third round going to Strickland, fourth round going to Duplessis, and I think you see a pattern by now.
Yep.
Fifth round going to Strickland.
Yeah.
So, like you said, very, very couple points.
I think we're going to see more of the same. I really do. But like I say, I like Duplessis in this one. I think.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't think he's going to finish him by any means. He can. I mean, it's not saying Strickland is unstoppable, but I think if Duplessis makes this a very dirty fight, I think if he does a lot of clinching, a lot of keeping Strickland in a close space so he can't get full reach, I think he's going to take this one.
Yeah.
And then we'll have to see what happens, because now if Duplessis wins this, he's getting near the point he cleans out this division. So
yeah, he's on that doorstep.
Yeah, so we'll have to watch and see how that storyline plays out. But interesting fight happening in UFC 312, so definitely check out ESPN Plus where you watch your pay-per-views. According to the time frame, they are going to be starting at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday.
Yay!
So wherever you're watching internationally, just make sure you watch your times, and we will leave it at that for that. I don't believe we will be watching that one, unfortunately. We'll have to catch the replay on the next day.
That's actually not bad for the Australians. That's 2 p.m. in the afternoon.
Okay, that's not bad at all.
That's not bad for them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but we'll definitely catch the replay on that one, because obviously Super Bowl is taking place, and that's going to take some resting up beforehand.
Yes.
And especially it's going to be a busy weekend with Nerd Initiative too, so we'll have to say about that. Last but certainly not least, because it's boxing, and if you know I'm talking boxing, there's actually a fight that is worth talking about.
Which is rare these days.
Canelo Alvarez,
I know the name.
arguably the best boxer on the planet, has agreed to fight Terrence Crawford
I know that name.
in a big middleweight bout September 13th. So according to Mike Coppinger from ESPN, Canelo Alvarez, boxing's top star, and Terrence Crawford are in the process of finalizing a deal for September 13th super middleweight championship fight in Vegas, sources told ESPN. Crawford, who moved up to 154 pounds from 147 in a title-winning effort versus Israel Medrinov, will move up 2 more weight classes. Holy smokes.
Oh, that's
I didn't realize he was moving up that high.
That's a bad idea.
Yep.
I'm not a boxing expert, but
to the 168-pound limit. There won't be any catch weight or rehydration clause attached to the fight.
Oh, Jesus.
Wow.
That's a terrible idea.
Wow. I mean, like,
one division? Okay. I can stomach that. I can
Crawford's no joke though, but that is insane in my opinion.
That's a terrible idea.
Because Canelo is very, very comfortable at this situation.
This is a win-win for him.
I mean, I was going to say, this is going to be very, very interesting to see how he matches up with this.
Yeah.
Canelo's record right now currently is 62-2-2, 39 knockouts. Right. Crawford 41-0, 31 knockouts. So this is going to be worth watching, trust me.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll definitely have to keep our eye on that as we move closer into September. But like I say, if I'm talking boxing on the show, that means actually something is going down like a mega fight. And I still have not gone over Triple G to defeat Canelo Alvarez. You will not tell me otherwise, folks. That being said, that's it for sports this week. So for the one, Padawan J.
Fuck the Astros.
I'm your host, Ken. Thank you as always for listening to the ODPH podcast. We'll see you next time.
It's such waste of time, swiping left and swiping right on people you could know. 'Cause anyone who's worth a damn be worth way more than a picture could ever show. could find the right light, find the right angle, and never find your soul. And it can feel like a losing battle, and this plot is full of holes. This modern way of finding love just makes me feel so alone. And I can't be the only one sick of staring at my phone. So look up, talk to me, a better way to spend our energy. Just look up, talk to me. We don't have to float alone on the open sea. Don't know that I believe in the old time fable. Everyone has just one true love. All I know is you're across this table, and you're all I'm thinking of. So look up, talk to me, a better way to spend our energy. Just look up, talk to me. We don't have to float alone on the open sea. Talk to me. Talk to me. It's such waste of time, swiping left and swiping right on people you could know.